If you are a Latino and you are still racist in 2025, you are the problem. Because how is it that seeing everything that you're going through right now, how we're literally getting racially profiled, you are still finding it in yourself to think that you are better than another minority? They are literally looking at us and judging us by the skin, by the color of our skin, by the way we speak English, by the fact that we speak a second language, and by our jobs. Does that sound familiar at all? If somehow you still have these biases against the Black community, if you can still find it in yourself to justify your racism, you are the problem. And let's not even talk about the Latinos that are racist against their own Latinos. Like the Puerto Rican video, where the Puerto Rican was talking smack to the Mexican. Don't even get me started on that. Because at this point, we are all the freaking same. When is it going to click on you guys? Click, appear, that we are all the same. We are all brown. We are all the enemy here. This is the time more than ever when we should be united. If you could not find it in yourself to find unity or find the importance of community before, this should be the time. So if for some reason you are still justifying your racism, you've lost the plot. Seriously.
As a Latina woman, I will never understand the need to have a proximity to whiteness in the Latino community. First of all, colorism is absolutely rampant no matter where you go with Latinos. You know, I grew up with it. One time when I was little, I came back from Cancun and I had like a tan, and my grandma made me start scrubbing myself so that I could get rid of that tan. On top of that, I've been told by both my grandmas that I need to mejorar la raza. But I was dating my ex, who was very morenito. I got into a really big fight with my aunt because she was like, Kelly, don't you want somebody with colored eyes? Don't you want somebody with lighter skin? What about your kids? Your kids are gonna come out dark. And like, my sister is like 5 shades darker than me. That was one of the biggest fights my aunt and I got into because, you know, my sister, my everything. And if my sister ever at any point begins to feel insecure about her skin color because our family members can't keep their fucking bullshit to themselves. And you know, I've had to have the talk with my sister, who's a lot darker than I am, about the fact that there are going to be people out there that do not like her simply because of her skin color. And it is so difficult to try to explain why that is to a child. Luckily, we live in a Latino community, so it's purely Latinos everywhere, and they're like all the same color as her. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, it makes me sad to have this conversation with her. My grandma always used to tell me to marry or date a white man because they're going to take care of me and make sure that I'm like, you know, set for life. But at the end of the day, like both the kids that married white men, one of them has to deal with racism from extended family members who say that she's only with him because of his money. My other aunt, she's married to a bigot and has become a bigot herself. On top of that, one thing I noticed is that white people have no problem moving far, far away from their families. Like, they will move states over, or maybe even countries over. And, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it is just an observation because a lot of my Latina family members who married white men have picked up everything and left because of their husbands. You know, pushing them to do that, to pick up and basically leave everything behind so that they can like start a new life in a different state. And then I hear complaints specifically from these Latina women like, oh, I miss my family, like, oh, I hate not being around the family, but you know, he wanted us to move.
Let's talk about Latinos talking down on Black folks, even on their own darker-skinned relatives, while forgetting history. Forgetting that Black people stood shoulder to shoulder with Latinos in fight for rights. And now, the same system they helped uphold is profiling them too. This isn't just drama. It's a wake-up call about unity, pride, and knowing who the real enemy is. Let's get into the video. The credits belong to original creators of the clips used in this video. Stay locked in.
Yeah, them Latino for Trump folks got real. It's mute. I don't hear nothing ever since that executive order came out. Yeah. Now you thought I forgot about y'all. You thought we forgot about y'all. The Latinos for Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump. Now look at y'all on hush mode. Because you realize that executive order affects you, affects your kids, affects your spouses, affects your parents, affects your friends, affects everyone around you that you've ever loved and cared about that was not born in this country. Now look at you. They're going to be able to snatch you up and lock you up based off of your accent and skin tone alone. Even if you are a white Cuban or a white Puerto Rican or a white Dominican, it don't matter. If your accent even got a little bit of a twang in it, you're cooked.
In the past, other Latinos have turned on me or flat out say they hated me or no longer wanted to be friends with me because I called them out on this. I feel like as Latinos, sometimes we use the, oh, we're all minorities, like we're minorities too, so we can't be racist. Or we're mestizos, like we're mixed, so we can't be racist, when in fact, we can be racist. We have been racist to people of African descent for far too long. And that is a big reason of why we're in the situation that we are right now in the United States.
The biggest lie in the Latino community is that we all have European blood and that Indigenous features ancestry is ugly and embarrassing. Many of us Latinos are taught that we're mestizos, which is Indigenous and European ancestry mixed together, when in reality a lot of us have high Indigenous blood. Latinos are only pretty because they've got European blood in them. Because apparently if you've got high Indigenous blood, you're ugly. Indigenous features are so beautiful. Latinas, Latinos with it are honestly so beautiful. I don't know why you're trying to give the credit to your European blood. That's only 2%. That tan brown skin, that long straight hair, them big lips, those small nice eyes. Yeah, that's all Indigenous features. And it's time you acknowledge it and give it credit. You denying your Indigenous blood, your Indigenous feature, is continuing that mindset. You're doing what the colonizers wanted us to do.
What's up, Saiyan Squad? And I ain't gonna cap, Latinos' hatred towards black people sincerely needs to be studied. But one thing I'm getting so tired of is the amount of anti-blackness from Latinos. Do these people realize that the civil rights movement is the reason them and other immigrant groups can even come over here, right? Yet the same people that made it where you couldn't even live over here and be in this country, y'all got so much smoke and animosity towards. But them folks who tell y'all on a daily to go home and leave, y'all kiss them in the rear end 24/7. And they still give you they rear end a kiss. Yeah, they gonna make you think that they like you because you spewing out all this anti-black rhetoric, but at the end of the day, they don't want you. Like, it's tiring. And one thing I can't stand when y'all be in the comment sections talking about, or y'all make these posts on social media talking about, we may have our differences, but we can all agree there's one demographic that we don't like. The folks you're pandering to don't even like you. But y'all have this mentality, if we don't like the blacks, then them folks will like us. Dog, they're never gonna like us. I mean, they're never gonna like you. Blacks have done nothing but shopped at y'all businesses, made it where y'all can come over here, but y'all have this hatred towards us for absolutely no reason. That side with the same people who have oppressed y'all, took y'all land, took y'all resources, and tell y'all to go home on a daily.
Black people, after they done with the Latinos, you next. Huh? Next. We been on the chopping block. Like, you can tell that we all been living in separate Americas. Separate Americas, because why does everybody keep saying black people, you next? They've been on our heels for 400 plus years. Black people, you next. You know what? Can you imagine being in a relationship with the biggest narcissist in history? The biggest, right? Every time you go to school, he undermines you. When you buy a house, he undermines you. When you get healthcare, he undermines you. God damn, when you can't go to the gym, you can't go to parks, you can't go to the goddamn beach, you can't get healthcare, you can't get childcare, you can't do shit. You can't cook chicken, you can't eat fruit, you can't do nothing. Every angle that you live in life has been targeted. Understand that black people will always fight for Latinos. Our struggle is intertwined. Like, understand this. But we don't gotta worry about being next because we have been their fixation for hundreds of years. We still are. And you know what's the most heartbreaking thing about this whole thing is that Mexican people in black history, American history, have been some of the only people to show up. They were the biggest part of black liberation. And always and forever, I will always give Mexican people that respect. But since then, Latino people have been falling so far into white supremacy that is sick. You have been showing colorist behavior to your own people. You have been showing colorist behavior all in the hopes of having white proximity. All the anti-black jokes that you hear growing up, you're talking about your own people. Just because you say prieto, moreno, or negro, don't make it no different. All those sayings, bettering the race, cleaning the blood, washing out the black. This is a part of a Latin culture, and it's sad, and it needs to stop. You want to know what's the first step of liberation? Stop that shit. Stop trying to have proximity to whiteness. You're not them. And if you want to know the results of this, just ask the question of what happened to all the black people in Argentina. There were a lot more. And yeah, you may have a sprinkle of Spaniard, but you ain't that. And I'm sorry to tell you, there's a reason why you have an indigenous or African nose and kinky hair.
I just want to talk about something real quick that I feel like it's not talked about enough. And y'all, please don't mind this music. These are my neighbors. It's such a strange feeling being a dark-skinned Latina, because sometimes I'm Dominican, right? Sometimes I have a hard time connecting with my culture because there are a lot of things that my culture does that I don't agree with and that I take offense to as a woman of color. So today, for example, I was at work and I was talking to a coworker that doesn't really know me well or whatever about relationships and stuff like that. He's a fair tone Dominican, so he looks more Spaniard. We all know Dominicans come in different shades and stuff like that. My whole life, I just have never been attracted to Latino men. I've always dated black men, so Africans, Haitians, Jamaicans, like that's just what I'm naturally attracted to. And so I stated that, and he responded and said, oh, maybe if I lower my pants and drag them down with my ass showing, maybe then you'll like me. What is that even supposed to mean? Like, what are you implying when it comes to black people? There has also been moments where I'm with another like fair tone Dominican, and I remember one time I went to BJ's, and when we got there, she said, oh my God, there's so many black people around. I was like, what are you talking about? When I hear stuff like that, when I hear Dominicans say stuff like that, or even just any Latino country, like person, whatever, say that, like, it really pisses me the fuck off. I really hate this narrative that some Latino people look at black people this way, like there isn't black excellence and luxury classy people, classy black people, all of the above, and they just look at them like this ghetto trash, when I know that's not true. It's not true, and it really upsets me. And obviously I am of color, so I identify, I relate, and I connect more with black people because I know what it's like to be made fun of for my complexion. That happened my whole childhood, where I got made fun of because of my complexion, and I hated that. I hated getting tanned before. I would hide under the tree and I'll be like, I don't want to get tanned, and now thank God I love my complexion. But literally it's comments like that as to why I'm just don't connect with the Latino culture. I don't get it. It's also so frustrating because I've had black people tell me, oh, you want to be black so bad. And I also have had the more like fair tone Latinos tell me, oh, you're not a real Latina. So I feel like there's no middle ground for us dark-skinned Latina women, and it's so frustrating.
I'm going to reply to this guy over here, the Latino conservative, that is saying that I am oppressed, which is actually quite ironic. So I have one of my degrees is anthropology, so I'm going to give you a lesson for free. The next one I'll have to charge you, because 2 for free is already wrong. What happens is that in Latin America, we have the lingering effect of a system of caste. Basically what happens is that you view people that are lighter skinned European within our community as superior to you, and you want to be like them. Since you can't change who you are, you try to behave like them, and in your mind, you think you will be accepted by that group. So what happens is that in order to be part of that group, you can't change the color of your skin. You can't change your height. You can't change who you are. You can't change where you come from. But you think in the back of your head that if you behave like them, that if you talk like them, if you like what they like, and especially if you hate what they hate, then they're going to accept you and you're going to be part of that group. That is the reason why people like you vote against their own interests, because you want to be part of that group. And what happens is that you're never going to be part of that group. As we say in Latin America, they're never going to pick you up, man. You're always going to be part of the others. What you become is a token. You become basically an Uncle Tom with the lingering effects of colonialism. In 1962, the party decided that they did not need the Latino vote. They calculated that through the years, they needed 21 to 23% of the Latino vote to remain in power. I recommend for you to read a book that's called The Hispanic Conservative, that goes through the whole Southern strategy, how the Latinos had part of it, how they decided to approach us. And one of the things they do is that they exploit the colonialism factor of people like you. And what they say is that they call you Hispanic so you feel more European and create a difference, making you feel conservative. And as a conservative, you will be superior to the others. And that is the narrative that they have been putting in your head since 1962. And if you notice, if you analyze the elections, they have always had between 20 and 21% of the Latino vote in every single election. So the theory has worked. And you are the token for them. Think about how Trump says, Latinos for Trump, look at my Latino, look at my African American. You are the one example they use to try to present themselves as something they're not. So you are enabling the behavior of these people against your own community because you're so dissatisfied with who you are that you think that by doing that, you're going to be like them. And to finish, according to the National Latinx Project analysis, what you are is an Uncle Tom in the Latino community. So I recommend for you to make peace with who you are, kind of learn your culture, be proud of who you are instead of trying to be like another group. Because what's going to happen to you is this. People that behave like you end up like this. Like Enrique Tarrio, with 33 years in prison for pretending to be something he's not, basically. I'm Alex, this is my rant, and I hope this helps you. I'm out.
Last month, Black people asked Latinos to stop saying the N-word because Black people find it disrespectful when Latinos say the N-word. And Latinos were so offended that they started disrespecting the Black community. And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I want to say something. If you've been following me for a while or have gone through my videos recently, you see that I'm constantly pushing for unity between communities. Majority of the Black people in the comments are stating how they get a lot of disrespect from the Latinos. And majority of the Latinos in my comments are actually really disrespectful to the Black community. And I've been pushing for unity because these protests are not where we're going to unite. There's something bigger to come where we need that unity. And something that I've been noticing during these protests is a lot of Latinos are asking the Black community for help. And when the Black community states how they don't want to, or they don't feel like they should, Latinos are disrespecting them with racial slurs. There's a video circulating on the internet where a Latina is yelling the N-word in a very derogatory form to a Black police officer. There's videos on the internet where the comment section is full of hate from Latinos to Black people. Latinos, we need to take responsibility and acknowledge the fact that this is our fault. I find it very ghetto and disrespectful for us to be saying the N-word. I find it very disrespectful for us to be even saying the M word, that stands for Beatles in Spanish. And while I am going to have a lot of people in the comments saying that this is all politics and about the Latinos for Trump BS, this has nothing to do with politics because it is before Trump took office. We were put against each other back in the 1970s and the 1980s. And we're a product of that now because it was our parents that were put against one another. Why? Must I remind you that back in the 1960s when we were all united, we actually got things done, like the Civil Rights Act movement. Latinos tend to forget that Black people, the Black community, were out protesting for field worker rights, immigration rights with us. And the Black community tends to forget that there were Latinos marching with Martin Luther King Jr., down to the point that we do have a statue for MLK in Mexico because MLK was a huge impact in the Latino community. And while I do not agree with Cesar Chavez and the stuff that he did to the immigrants in the United States, Cesar Chavez, amongst many other Latinos, were marching with MLK. Black Panthers were protecting Mexicans, while Black Panthers also helped start the Brown Berets. We have a lot of history together, and this is why divided we stay conquered, because together we get things done. So no, I'm not asking the Black community to come out and march with us, to protest with us, because this is something small compared to whatever is about to come. I'm asking the Latino and the Black community to take accountability for whatever we have going on and start asking yourselves, why have we been put against each other, and why have some of us actually gone along with the way that they want us against each other? Why is there hate amongst each other when We've done nothing but unite in the past and get things done. Where does this hate come from? I've had my fair share of experiences with racist people in the past, but those people do not define the communities that they come from for me. There's always going to be races within each community. So to my fellow Latinos, we've needed unity for a long time from other communities, and now we're reaping the consequences of us being hateful towards other communities. We even have hate within ourselves. And until we take accountability and change that, no one's going to come out to our rescue.
So I got a question for the Cuban community, because I done been down in Florida for almost 2 years now, and it seems to be a known fact that Cubans are racist. So, well, I want to know, Cubans, I would like to have a discourse on this, because would you like to confirm or deny said statements? And also, what are you doing to change that stigma that you've got going against you, saying as such? Because at the end of the day, y'all is not white Americans, and I feel like y'all try to act more white than white Americans, or try to identify as such. And I experienced this same thing in Seattle with not just black folks, but the Asian culture up there, because it's a sentiment of like a type of whiteness that people ascribe to, and in doing so, you become very anti-people of color. And so much so that you want to ascribe to a certain level of American whiteness that you deny any type of Latin or black anything that is in your lineage. So I just want a little understanding on that one. If someone can help me out. Because, you know, I don't have anything against Cubans. I actually find Cuban men very attractive. So I'm just trying to figure out what's the deal. I mean, the women's attractive too, but you know, that's not my tree. That's not my
Mexicans, right? We are labeled as white.
I shared this before in one of my books. When I was a little kid and my mom was filling out papers, my mom at this particular time can barely speak English, right? And so we needed help, a translator to help us fill out papers. And so in one particular case, I remember the first time that I was, I guess, old enough while we were filling those things out and una señora was helping us, we had to bubble our identity. And the identity was Hispanic, maybe a Latino, white tea, black, Pacific Islander, Asian, etc., right? And then the lady told us to bubble in Hispanic. And I don't know about you, but in Mexico, that's not a terminology for us. So I told my mom, Mama, ¿qué es eso? ¿Qué es hispano? Because we had never heard this shit before, you know? ¿Qué es hispano? Oh, no sé, mijo, así nos llaman aquí. That right there. Let's not gaze over that. Let's highlight this. Así nos llaman aquí. And that's our situation. As we, as indigenous people, we have allowed non-indigenous people to identify us and we go along with it. You see, we were bubbled in under Hispanic and I asked my mom, what's that? Oh, yo no sé, mijo, aquí nos llaman así. We can't allow that. We shouldn't, but we have. So now you telling me this. We, as Latinos from Latin America, whether you're indigenous presenting like us, a white tea, and black people too, of Latin America, they've been casted under white tea in this country. People don't know that black people, indigenous, and white tea people of Mexico have been bubbled under white tea race. If you're Latino of Latin America, regardless of your race and your background, you are white tea and have been in this country. So white tea people have been claiming that they are the majority in population. Now, if you take in consideration the fact that all Latinos were casted under white tea as a race, and that's black, brown, and white tea people of Latin America, ask yourself, have white tea people really been the majority? No. On the census they have, because they have categorized non-white tea people. You see how they play games? We have been allowing these people to identify us. We allow them. So when you ask me, Ricardo, how come they brand us under white tea? Because we allowed them. Just like when I was a little kid, Ma, Hispano, what is that? Oh, I don't know. That's what they call us here. Meaning, so we'll go with it. Let me ask you a question. Do we get to identify white tea people ever? What would they do? How would they react if we tried? Lately, we've been identifying them as Euro-Americans. What is their response? Nope. That's disrespectful. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. But here we are, allowing them to do as they please with our identities. So let me ask you something. What are you?
I think I'm indigenous.
You think?
I mean,
If you only think, then that's part of the problem. You have children? Yes.
Yes.
What did you bubble in for them?
Hispanic.
Huh?
Hispanic. I have. I mean, if honestly speaking.
Oh, yeah, then thank you for being honest. We are part of the problem then. We have contributed to our ethnic erasure.
How do you go and say you're indigenous, but the indigenous people that are recognized as indigenous, they're like, oh, but you're not of a tribe, or you're not of this, or, you know, how?
There is a difference between tribal and detribalized. Indigenous is acknowledging the fact that you're the original person of the land. That has nothing to do whether you are part of a tribe or not. If a people from a pueblo in Mexico tell you you're not from a tribe, yes, I'm not. And ask them, how come? Why aren't we from a tribe? Do you know the history of Mexico? O nos vamos a hacer pendejos? Did we choose to not be from a tribe? Or why are we detribalized? For any people to shame us for being detribalized, they are part of the problem, especially if they themselves are indigenous. If indigenous people are shaming us for being detribalized, is they are allowing white tea people to get their way. You cannot shame detribalized indigenous people if you acknowledge the history of why we are detribalized to begin with. So you are indigenous, detribalized, but indigenous. You don't belong to a tribe. Yeah, but you're indigenous because what is your root of where you come from? No one could take that from you, no matter how much they tried. Tu cara says it all. Cara de nopal, respectfully, right? I'm indigenous to this land, so that's what indigenous is. Do you speak a native language? Probably not. Do you have an indigenous name? Probably not. But what does your ancestry say? That's what indigenous is. Tribal and detribalized, that's a whole nother conversation. Obvio, no eres parte de tribu, de pueblo. Nah, that's okay. And don't let nobody shame you for that. If they need to shame somebody, shame colonizers. If indigenous people really have the energy to shame somebody, shame the colonizers for doing this. Why are you shaming people that were forcefully tribalized? You're part of the problem yourself for doing it.
After watching that video, I have to say this is heavy but also important. We just saw clip after clip of Latinos talking about anti-blackness inside their own communities, colorism in families, the obsession with looking whiter, and even open racism toward black folks. And the irony, many of these same people supported Trump, thinking that it would give them protection. And now many of us are seeing how those traces come back around. But listen, this video isn't just about pointing fingers just to laugh. It's about learning, about accountability, and about finding unity between all Americans. One of the hardest things to hear is Latinos saying, we can't be racist because we are minorities too. That is simply not true, because being a minority doesn't mean you can't hold harmful views about another group. In fact, this video shows exactly how that mindset has hurt black people for decades. And honestly, it not only hurt black people, it also hurts Latinos too. Because when you deny racism, you end up protecting the very system that turns around and profiles you the moment it is convenient. The stories about grandmas telling their kids to scrub their skin after a tan, or to mejora relasa by marrying someone lighter. This shows how deep colonialism still runs. It's very sad because it teaches children that their natural skin is a problem instead of something beautiful. And I know many of the black audience who are watching right now, they can relate. Colorism isn't just a Latino issue, it's a shared pain. Dark-skinned in many parts of the world, in the USA, in Latin America, in Africa, in Asia, they are always told that they are less than. And that is a generational trauma that needs to be broken. And one of the biggest themes in the video is just seeing proximity to whiteness. Some Latinos believe that if they marry white, if they vote conservative, or distance themselves from black folks, they will be very accepted. But the history proves that it's a lie. No matter how much energy you put in trying to blend in, when profiling ramps up, you're still seen as the other. You have to know that proximity isn't protection. It's just a short-time mask. And when that mask slips, the reality will hit you hard. I had to laugh hard when the speaker said, now look at y'all on harsh mode ever since that executive order dropped. Because that is the truth. When policy hits home, silence falls. Some Latinos really believed Trump was going only after others. But the reality is, you can't feed the system of profiling and then expect it to skip over you. That's not how normally power works. Whenever you support laws built on suspicion, please remember that sooner or later it will have knocks on your door too. Another painful part is hearing how anti-black jokes and slurs are still being normalized in Latino families. People laughing, using N-word, or making colorist remarks like it's nothing. Let's be real. Those jokes aren't harmless. They reinforce stereotypes, they divide communities, and they erase all the history where black and brown actually fought side by side. Let me tell all Latinos listening, using slurs that white supremacists use, it just shows you have internalized their plight. One of the speakers in that video reminded us, in the past, black people marched with Latinos for farm worker rights. Latinos marched with Dr. King. The Black Panthers protected Latino activists. And that is real history? It's well written, well documented in many history books. But today, the sad thing is that many people forget that and still repeat anti-black rhetoric. And that is why black and brown communities in America are weaker now. Because when they are divided, they stay conquered. And together, they are unstoppable. It was proven in the past, and that is what those in power fear most. And there was a strong point made about identity being forced to bubble in Hispanic or white-owned forms, even when you are Indigenous or Afro-Latino. And that is very bad because it erases people's real roots. And people, remember that whenever you don't control your own identity, others will do it for you. And when they do, they will use it to divide you from your natural allies. And that's why I always tell people education is so key, not just school, but cultural education. Knowing your history, your indigenous blood, your African roots, and that is where true pride comes from, not chasing labels given by others. For my black viewers, none of this applies them because they have been carrying America forever. Racism does not stop at one group. It is a system. So when Latinos bought into anti-blackness, it hurt both communities. Now, seeing Latinos caught in profiling, many black folks are not shocked. Let's finally stand together because whether it is ICE checkpoints or colorist hiring, it is the same system squeezing all minorities in America. Latinos, you need to own anti-blackness inside your own families and stop excusing it. Like what used to happen in the past, I would advise all black and brown folks to link their arms again like in the past. And that means showing up for each other's causes, supporting each other's businesses, protecting each other in the streets. You've got to have proud in your own roots. Whether you are Afro-Latino, Indigenous, or even mixed, you have to stop running from it. Remember that that is your strength. When you love who you are, no system can use your identity against you. After watching that video, here is the bottom line. Anti-blackness in Latino community doesn't make anyone safer. It only weakens both black and brown. The reality is, if you chase whiteness, you will never be accepted. But if you embrace unity, history proves you can win together. So let's move forward with honesty, accountability, and solidarity. Because the real enemy isn't black versus Latino. It is racism and the systems that profit from your division. If you felt this video, drop a comment with your thoughts. Do you think it is still possible for black and brown communities to build unity in 2025? Hit like so this message spreads. And hit that subscribe button for more conversations that matter. Remember that y'all are stronger together. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out.